Okay, guys, let's begin the Saturday webinar. Anyway, right, I am not at home, so the internet connection might be a little bit unstable. Okay, so just bear with me. Anyway, today's session will be a fast one, mainly because this week, we actually entered quite a number of trades, quite a number of non-speculative, non-earnings play trade. Okay. And going into next week, right, we do have a few high impact news coming up in the next week. So I do think that we are pretty much full on position that we can take. And in fact, my current portfolio right now is very balanced. So I don't foresee taking any position in the upcoming week prior to the FOMC lah. Okay, so something to bear in mind. So let's just go through the portfolio first. Nothing really much going on. There's a lot of new trades taken this week lah. Okay, so we got McDonald, we got Pfizer, on top of which we also got Victoria's Secret and HPE. These are the new trades that were taken now. Okay, so I just want you to take a look at this here. I actually shared this yesterday also. So if you look at all the speculative trade, right? Considering DKS, BBY, GPS, Dell, VSCO, and HPE, right? There's a total of actually 6 speculative trades that were taken in the past 2 weeks. Okay, and if you have taken all 6 trades and you are still negative, right? You may want to work on your risk management and lot sizing a bit. Most likely you are being fueled by emotion than a proper trade setup, okay? A proper structuring of your trade. So you can see here, right? If I were to select everything at the bottom, you can actually see there's $15,700 net profit, okay, including all the losses. But of course, I have to take away the TLT loss, okay, because TLT is not really a speculative trade. So if I take away the TLT loss, right, the profit is somewhere around $17,000. So actually quite significant, even after I account for the the Victoria's Secret and HPE loss. Okay, so if you have taken all the speculative trade and you are losing money, is something that you need to go and do some self-reflection. Okay, and another case is that if you are a FOMO who only came in after you see us winning all the first 4 trade and then you came in at the last 2, right? Then my question to you is like, why did you not enter the first 4 trade? You cannot be big. If you are on Patreon, the portfolio is being managed very carefully. So unless you are an expert portfolio manager yourself, right? If you are picking and choosing what you want to trade, most likely it's not going to work out for you, okay? So it's either you follow everything or you don't follow at all. If you pick and choose to follow what you want, right? Most likely it's not going to work out because we are doing a long short portfolio. So if you go and pick all the long, or if you specifically go and pick all the short to trade, most likely you may end up picking the wrong side and you are going to lose a lot of money. Okay, so this is something to bear in mind also. If you are going to follow everything. If not, make sure you know how to manage stuff yourself. If you can't manage and you are picking and choosing by yourself, right, highly likely that your experience will be very, very bad. Okay, so now if I go to my dashboard, not really much difference. Last week I'm up about 29%. Now I'm down to 26%, mainly because of the 2 trade that we have taken a loss, okay, the Victoria's Secret and the HPE. But nonetheless, right, my open position are still doing very, very well at $15,750 net profit, okay. So my open position, I'm up about 6.25%. If you want to include this, then I'm actually up about 32% like that, which is actually quite significant for a 5-month performance. Okay, so among all the one that I have open, right, I'm sure you all should have the same position. The one that currently in big profit right now is, of course, Toll Brother. Toll Brother actually is in very, very big profit right now. There's something that I want to do about Toll Brother. Later, I will explain to you. The next one is, of course, BXMT. BXMT is looking quite good also. And of course, the other new stuff are not really like neither big profit nor big loss. Okay, they are somewhat flat. For example, McDonald initially was making profit, but yesterday came down by quite a bit. McDonald came down quite a bit yesterday. So let me just show you. McDonald came down about 1.73% yesterday, so it kind of go back into a loss already. And then Pfizer also came back down a bit in the past week. In this week itself, you can see it came down quite a bit. Okay, so it is also in a red. And Palantir also did very well, but yesterday it came down 2%, so it is still somewhat profitable. Okay, $1,800. And of course, Adobe is actually doing quite okay, except for the fact that the short leg is actually losing money. Okay, so if the short leg were to be taking the full premium, right, we should be up by, oh, sorry. If the short leg were to be taking full premium, right, we should actually be up quite significantly, okay? But now the short leg is losing money, so we need to wait for expiration for the short leg to become profitable if it remains above 460. Aside from that, SCMR, unfortunately, I think SCMR most likely I'm gonna let it expire, okay? Mainly because the spread is very wide. There is no way I can exit SCMR without eating a huge chunk of spread losses because there's actually no bid order. There's no bid order for this call option, so I can't sell unless I sell at a very, very low price, which is what I'm not gonna do. So I think the best option is to wait for another round of rally to happen, which is not impossible, which is actually can happen. And if SEMR rally, then we can let this expire and we take the expiration profit. Okay. So I think that's the best option that we can take for SCMR. And the other one is AMR. AMR is actually doing quite well. So for those who are observer, my AMR initially is 70 shares. I shorted 70 shares, but this week I actually added 30 more shares. Okay, so initially my original entry was around 370, but I added 30 more shares, right? So I just took the average buying price, okay, which bring it down to 335. So even with this additional position, right, I am still quite profitable, okay? So that's for AMR. And then of course we have SATS. SATS entered 285, currently at 295. Not really a big profit, but still profit nonetheless, okay? And what you will also notice is that the Lumen Technology and Allogene, right, these are two trades that we are actually looking for a short squeeze, something like GameStop like that, okay? But it is still not happening, so I'm still going to hold on to it. But what you will notice is that I removed the bullish tag here, okay? Because these are not really a proper trade. Meaning, even if I put bullish, right, I don't really, I mean, the stock itself is very speculative. It doesn't really have correlation with the broad market itself. So it doesn't matter if it's bullish or bearish. It's not affecting the portfolio in a what I will call significant way, okay? So I removed the two bullish tag here because I want the portfolio to be a little bit more accurate based on just the core trades alone. So you can see based on all my proper core trades, right? I actually have 5 bullish position and 5 bearish position now, okay? So which means to say my portfolio is very, very well beta hedged for the upcoming event next week, because next week we have both inflation data and FOMC, and they are actually on the same day, okay? They are coming in on the same day, so we might have a very, very volatile week, and this kind of long short portfolio that is very well balanced is the best that you can do going into this kind of events, okay? So okay, now let's talk about Toll Brother. So the one action that I want to take from Toll Brother, right, is that I am considering taking profit on the long leg. Okay, on the long leg. So I will take this $8,900 profit. And then what I will do is I am looking to add another long put option. Okay, I'm looking to add another long put option with a longer expiration date. So probably a September expiration. And then I will put it at probably strike 115. So what I will do is I will put up the new long put option at strike 115 for 10 contract, and then I will TP the current one that I have. So with that, right, what I have now is a calendar spread, one expiring on the end of June and then I have a new one that is expiring on the end of September. So what that will allow me to do is it will allow me to cash this out so that it does not get the time decay lah, okay, because time decay during the last 2 weeks is very, very strong. So if I cash this out, right, it's not going to get affected by the time decay, but at the same time, right, my short leg is still allowed to decay until the until the June 21st, because I have another long contract with September expiration coming in. Okay, so with the new September expiration long put options, right, what is going to happen is that it can actually cover the margin for the short leg here. And at the same time, if Toll Brother continue to drop further, right, we are also holding the long September put, which meaning we will still profit from the downside lah. But at the same time, because the new put is going to be in September, the time decay is not so much. Okay, so I hope you get my explanation, and that is probably what I will do on Monday. That is to number one, add additional long put for September expiration at strike 115. Of course, it will be the same number of contract. Okay, I got 10 contract here. I will add another 10 more contract. And then once the September long put is executed, right, I will actually TP the old long put option. So now you cannot exit your old long put option first, because if you exit this first, your short leg is hanging there by itself. And if you do not have sufficient margin to hold the short leg by itself, right, your portfolio can get liquidated by Tiger, okay? That is not a joking matter. Last time I got somebody did that, and then his entire portfolio got liquidated because he doesn't have enough cash to hold the short leg by itself. So you must enter the September put option first. Only then you exit the original long put option. Okay, so this is a little bit what I would say a higher level of option management, a bit more advanced level, some tips and tricks that you can use if you are familiar with options. Okay, so the reason why I'm looking to do this is not just to TP the original long put, but it's also because I believe that Toll Brother can actually fall further. Okay, I'm still very, very bearish on Toll Brother. So if it can fall further, right, of course, I will continue to hold. Okay, it is actually exactly the same as I am rolling over the long. Okay, I'm rolling over the long put to September. Exactly the same situation. Okay, guys. So hopefully you can understand. If you do not understand or what, right, it means your knowledge on option is not really there. So it is up to you to go and learn and research. I'm not here to hold your hand. Okay. So this is Patreon, so there's no hand holding, no one-to-one kind of stuff. So if you want to be a part of all this big profit here and there, right, you truly need to go and spend some time during weekend. 1-2 hours it's not a lot of time. If you can't spare those hours, right, then you have to ask yourself, like, do you really want to trade or not? Are you really interested in trading or not? Okay. So now with that said, right, let's go to the overall macroeconomic a bit. Next week Wednesday, right? Next week Wednesday, 8:30, we have inflation number coming out. And then going into midnight, 2 a.m., which means already Thursday. Okay, Thursday, 2 a.m., we have FOMC coming up. So within a few hours, right, from 8:30 p.m. to 2 a.m., right, we actually have back-to-back extremely high impact news coming in. Okay, so here we are looking at inflation 3.4 consensus. For the core is 3.5. So not really a lot of change. Of course, interest rate is consensus is 5.5, but maybe, I mean, who knows? Maybe they may do a surprise cut because 2 other central bank are cutting. Who knows lah? Okay, who knows? I mean, to be honest, the most recent ISM service data and the non-farm payroll data was actually quite strong. Okay, so I don't really foresee a surprise rate cut, but perhaps in this session, right, FOMC may announce their actual first rate cut. Okay, they may announce, okay, we are going to do our first rate cut in July, or maybe in September, they might announce that already. So this is something to take note of. So for this FOMC session, 2 a.m., we will have a live webinar, okay? Live webinar to look at the rate decision. Maybe if we can play some YOLO, we will play some YOLO trades. And we will look at the press conference live, okay? So this is something that we do all the time. So of course, during the previous round, I was not in Singapore, so I wasn't able to do it. It was during April, okay? 1st of May, last day of April during that period. I wasn't in Singapore, so I wasn't able to do it. But this round, we are doing it again now, okay? So if you look at the NFP data, right, you can see that the market kind of responded quite negatively to it. The yield actually spiked up very, very significantly. It spiked up 3.4% on the 10-year yield. The 10-year yield from 4.28 rise up all the way to 4.4. So that's not really good news, okay? The reason why yield are rising back up is because the market feel that Federal Reserve is not going to cut rate. That's why the yields are going back up. So perhaps the 10-year yield have already give us a very, very good hint on what is going to happen in the FOMC. Probably no surprise rate cut. Okay, they are probably going to keep the rate there. So on the US indices, not really a lot of movement. Initially, like was going up, and then after that coming down, and then actually become a doji candle. Okay, there's barely any movement. But of course, even though the index itself has barely any movement, right, there are specific sectors that are experiencing a lot of movement. Okay, so now let's go to the Coifin, right? You can see for the day, you can see a majority of the stuff are red. Okay, a few stuff that are green are actually all services. All services is green at 0.4%. And KIE, which is insurance, is also green at 0.26. And then IGV is software, green at 0.14. But I mean, it can almost not green at all also because it's very, very insignificant now. Okay, but on the downside, we actually have gold facing one of the worst down movement like for quite some time now. Okay, so if you look at gold price, right? Gold price actually dropped about 3.76%. So it's quite a big move now. Okay, we hardly see this kind of movement on gold that often. Yes, it does happen, but not very, very often. So I personally have a very small position on NEN, and I'm probably gonna lose like $1,000 on it. But I mean, it's fine. It's a initial entry lah. Okay, I enter 1,000 first. Then if the price start to rally higher, I'll probably add like another 3,000, 4,000 to it. So now that it has dropped very low, right? Most likely I'm not gonna enter any more gold position now. Okay, I'm just gonna take loss on the current one that I have. But of course, everything can change when the inflation report and the FOMC session happen now. Okay, so but what I do want to highlight here is I'm sure a lot of you recently heard all the news about, oh my god, China buying the gold buying spree. Oh my god, China dumping US Treasury, China this, China that. Of course, if you are only entering gold after you see that news, you are probably late now. Okay, and this is what happened if you sort of follow blindly, if you kind of like jump into all this hype and you are not really thinking anything about like your own thought process, your own view on certain thing. If you blindly follow, you can run into this kind of thing. Okay, so whenever I choose to buy gold or whatever, right, yes, maybe I will take notes of news like, oh, China buying gold, okay, good. But what I will do is that will be like a catalyst. I will consider it, okay, my view on gold is bullish, but I do have one catalyst that is supporting my view. But is there any other thing else? I will try to look for like more stronger justification to buy. But if you are simply buying because you saw that news, that is your one and only reason why you buy, right? Then there's a very big problem. Okay, so yes, people are dumping US Treasury, but guess what? US Treasury is the yields are going higher and higher again now. Okay, so be very mindful, of all these mainstream medias lah. Okay, especially anything regarding China lah, because not to be biased, but most of the stuff coming out from there, take it with a pinch of salt. Recently, there's some news that say the waterfall in China is actually fake one, and it's actually like the don't know fourth biggest waterfall in Asia or something like that. You know, all this kind of nonsense happening. Okay, so do your own due diligence. Okay, so now going into next week, right? Individual position wise, I don't really have a lot. So the main thing that I would like to do is to roll out my toll brother trade lah. Okay, roll out my toll brother trade at the same time cash in the profit, cash in pocket, very very important, cash in the profit also. So we are actually achieving two things lah. Okay, so now there are some stuff that I am probably gonna sort of like watch list first. I may trade them, I may not, but I don't know. Okay, continue to watch list them, and that is actually still dynamic. Okay, so Still Dynamic is actually an alternative that I have provided for those who cannot trade AMR. So if you are here yesterday, right, you will know lah. Okay, if you are not here for yesterday, then I mean you probably don't know lah. So Still Dynamic is another reasonable steel company that you can short, because recently we are feeling that the steel sector is going down now. Okay, the steel fabrication sector is going down mainly because the construction sector and the automobile sector is facing a bit of a headwind, and steel is mainly used in the construction sector and the automobile sector lah. Okay, so I may even play both, meaning to say I already have AMR down, AMR short. I may also add Steel Dynamic short lah. Okay, so I'll see how things goes, but this is something that I have in mind. So Steel Dynamic can KIV a bit. But aside from that, right, I don't really have a lot of additional trade that I want to add ready. So the other trade that I am actually looking to add is up best ARCB. So recently ARCB actually kind of rally a bit lah. Okay, it is up about 6% on Friday. So I'm not really sure why ARCB is rallying based on the NFP data, but probably because maybe if the economy is strong, then of course there's more business for the trucking sector lah. Okay, especially with the service sector improving, so things are going back up. But I will probably look out for a higher low lah. Okay, I'll probably look out. I'll probably look out for a lower high in order to short the ARCB lah. Okay. Will I be exiting Adobe? Most likely no lah. Most likely no. So okay, yes. Thanks for bringing up Adobe, because Adobe earning is coming up. Okay, Adobe is coming out. So I'm not gonna exit Adobe. Mainly because I mean, it is not a earning speculative trade, but it is a trade that we want to hold through earning, but it is not a YOLO trade lah. Okay, so we will hold the position through earnings, and we see what the earnings decide to say lah. But we are not going to add additional position for speculative purpose lah. Okay, we will just hold our original position. So now another sector that I'm looking at to play a long position is actually the accommodation sector lah. Okay, company like Marriott International. I do think this retrace can rebound and go up a lot higher. And the other one is of course Hilton. This one, Hilton Worldwide Holding. Okay, so these are the two companies that I'm actually looking at to see whether like for the cyclical play lah. Okay, for the cyclical long, because we don't actually have a lot of cyclical long. We have quite a number of defensive long. We have McDonald, which is a defensive long. We have Pfizer, which is a defensive long. And after that, no more long already. We have Adobe lah. Okay, we have sorry, not Adobe. We have the what you got, Palantir. Palantir is a cyclical long lah. Okay, but we actually need a bit more cyclical long also. So I'm actually kind of thinking of Marriott and Hilton Worldwide Holding. And the reason why I'm considering this too is mainly because of the rebound in the ISM service, and majority of the sector that is sort of doing well is actually the accommodation sector lah. Okay, the service and the accommodation sector. So it is an area that I'm looking at. So there's another sector that we are looking at also, and that is actually the food manufacturing, or Tyson Food. Tyson Food. Okay, the reason why we are looking at Tyson Food, I mean, you can see it kind of like rally a bit is coming down, but I do from what we have kind of like read about the whole bird flu thingy, right? Because Tyson Food actually sell a lot of white meat, poultry, and red meat, right? So this bird flu actually not only does affect your poultry, right? It also affect red meat also lah. Okay, so it is a sector that we are looking at, but we need more information lah. Okay, but anyway, the stock is coming down, so we are not in a hurry to enter. So we can do a little bit more research, because if all this bird flu is ongoing and it spread further, right, it means that the prices of red meat and the white meat is going to go up, which is usually mean it is bullish for all these um food manufacturers lah. Okay, but at the same time, right, it can also be negative for the people who are buying all this meat lah, which is, for example, Shake Shack. So Shake Shack, we are not gonna short Shake Shack, but we are probably gonna monitor a bit to see how all this event actually affect Shake Shack. Okay, so we may start to monitor Shake Shack also. So these are some rough idea that we actually have. Okay, we may or may not enter, but for now, our portfolio is quite good, quite ready for the FOMC. Okay, so if you are like, oh, I don't know what to trade, nothing to trade, you can go and take a look now. You can go and take a look and see whether decide for yourself you can still enter or not. So this part I am not gonna hold your hand also. Okay, if you miss the trade by 1 week, 2 week, you go and decide whether you can still enter or not, whether the risk is still worth it or not. So the only one thing I can guide you is look at it from risk perspective. Just ask yourself, can you handle the risk? How much are you going to enter? At what point will you stop loss? Ask yourself this question. Don't ask yourself stuff like, this one can go up or not, this one can still go up or not. I mean, nobody knows, or the technical can or not. I don't know. I don't even look at technical nowadays really. I will enter a stock at the bottom. If everything is good, it will head up. I will short at the top. For example, if you look at Toll Brother, we shot right at the top. We actually shot right at the top. For those who join in, we shot right here, this point here. We don't give a shit about technical. Okay, so one thing to ask yourself is, can you accept the risk? Don't think of anything else. If you can accept the risk, you go ahead and enter. If you cannot, then of course you cannot enter. Okay, so just to recap, next week the only action that I'll be taking is to roll out Toll Brothers. That's the only thing. And aside from that, most likely there will be no trade until the FOMC is over. Okay. So FOMC, Thursday 2 a.m. Thursday 2 a.m. Okay, meaning to say Wednesday midnight. Wednesday midnight going over to Thursday 2 a.m. We will have a live webinar. We may or may not have live trade depending on how the movement is like, what Jerome Powell is saying. May or may not. Okay, so don't like stay up just because you expect live trade and then no live trade, then after that you feel cheated like that. If you want to come for the knowledge, come for the sharing, don't come for the live trade. Live trade is not guaranteed lah. Okay guys, so that's all I have for today, and all the best next week. Of course I'll be around, and if there's any trade that come up, I will definitely post on Patreon lah. Okay, but for now, until FOMC, most likely we will lay low for a while. Okay, guys, have a great night. Have a great weekend.